Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and welcome to Thursday. And woo, man, what a day it's been already. In case you don't know, Wall Street was down lock limit again this morning, and it's gotten worse. So they shut it down for 15 minutes. It's reopened. The Dow is down 2,150 points. You've heard that right, 2,150. The S&P's down 227. The NASDAQ down 654 points. Everything's getting killed. Gold's down, silver's down, oil's down. Bitcoin is the worst performer of them all. Bitcoin down like 25%, trying to stay above 6,000. I think we can end the Bitcoin gold debate now. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, allamericangold.com. And last week, I told you, hey, we're doing a show you're going to want to listen to. You better tell everybody. I'm doing another one today. Jim Cranmer, for those of you that don't know who Jim Cranmer is, very briefly, he is the biggest personality on the Idiot Box, the stock channels. He's the head honcho, if you will, at CNBC. Very famous guy. A lot of people take his advice. He was the guy back in the financial crisis. They know nothing, right? And screaming and yelling, they know nothing. Talking about the Federal Reserve. Today, just like I told you, I've been warning you about, and again, whether you think the virus is real or not, or it's an overreaction or not, I think by and large, a lot of us, whether it's real or not, wow, the overreaction is very evident. But he came out with "They Know Nothing" 2 today. We're going to play both. We're going to play both clips for you in the next segment. The refresher from '07, what he has to say today. Essentially, and I'm going to give you the short of it here. 4 weeks or less, major S&P 500 companies were going to file for bankruptcy if something isn't done. So that's coming up here. We've got a great gold special and a silver special, U.S. Silver Eagles, and I warned about this as well. Right now, we are taking no orders. The U.S. Mint is completely sold out. And, of course, it makes sense. I mean, silver down over $1 today. Today would be the day to buy it, and you can't get any Silver Eagles. I can't even take an order for Silver Eagles. I'll update you as this happens. But don't be fooled. Listen, gold and silver are down. Gold's down 3 or 4%, right? The Dow's down 9 or 10. Right, Bitcoin's down 25, so it's all pretty relative. Everybody is jumping for cash right now. A lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of banks are under a lot of pressure. The central bank, another emergency. Let's just start calling it what it is. Another emergency bailout today as well. So I've got a lot to bring you up on, and I promise we'll get to it all. We've got the event tomorrow night. Now I know. All the panic is everywhere. It's in your financial systems. It's in the government. It's all over the world. But I thought about Jason talked to Sheriff Reams yesterday, and he's just like, dude, this is a highly driven media event, and we did a little research because I want to do the right thing here. Our counties that we are in, Weld, Larimer, Boulder, Broomfield, those are the major 4 counties. There's a total of 1 case in those 4 counties. Denver County, which we're in Denver County, they have a handful of cases. I think it's 4 or 5. All of them travel related, right? Oh, well, I went to, I was in Seattle, or I went to Italy, or what have you. And then we also get into Adams County as well, and they've got a couple that were travel-related as well. But based on what we heard from Sheriff Reams, we feel that it's going to be a great event tomorrow from 6 to 9 p.m. Bring the kiddies. We every kid that is there, every child that is there, is going to be walking away with something from Patriot Trading Group. So some form of precious metals will be in all kids that are in attendance hands. We've got so many great things happening. It's incredible. I'm so proud. Kara's done a tremendous job. Jason's wife, Brooke, yesterday was out there getting all the stuff ready. So a big shout out to Kara's, who spearheaded this whole thing. She's done a great job putting it all together. It's going to be a great event. And we're going to see everybody there. We will have hand sanitizer, so don't worry. If you're worried about it, we'll get the hand sanitizers going, and it's going to be a great event. So if you're worried about it, I understand. I get it, right? That's what they want us to do. They really think about this. This is the thing that you worry about. Right? This is how they're going to take away even more freedoms, isn't it? You feel it, don't you? We still only have 36 dead people in the whole United States. I mean, that's like a good weekend in Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. Patriot Radio News Hour. Get ready for this next segment because it's going to be a whopper. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. If you're just tuning in, obviously massive selling happening all over the globe. Nothing is unscathed today. But Jim Cranmer was out on TV this morning. We're going to play it. But I'm going to replay part of the They Know Nothing speech. This is going back to 2000. I want to say it was 2007, right before the crash. And I want to highlight something on this. I'm not going to play the very first part, but they were talking about Bear Stearns. Now remember, Bear Stearns went belly up, and they let J.P. Morgan buy it for $2 a share. I don't know if all y'all remember that. His rant, Bear Stearns, was $109. And, of course, it had fallen from like $100 and, $180, $190 to $109. The Dow was 13,000, between, 13,004, 13,500, something like that, around 13,500 on its way to 6,600. And I want you to listen to that clip. And then I'm going to play the clip. Of course, he was spot on. And then play the clip from today. So here's the first Jim Cranmer, They Know Nothing, right before everything collapsed on Wall Street. Jason, let's play the clip.
Bernanke, he has to be on that call. Forget the investors. The investors are going to do, if Bernanke listens, Bernanke needs to open the discount window. That's how bad things are out there. Bernanke needs to focus on this. Alan Greenspan told everyone to take a teaser rate and then raise the rate 17 times, and Bernanke is being an academic. It is no time to be an academic. It is time to get on the Bear Stearns call. Listen, open the darn Fed window. He has no idea how bad it is out there. He has no idea. He has no idea.
Cranmer.
I have talked to the heads of almost every single one of these firms in the last 72 hours, and he has no idea what it's like out there. None! And Bill Poole has no idea what it's like out there. My people have been in this game for 25 years, and they are losing their jobs, and these firms are going to go out of business, and he's nuts. They're nuts. They know nothing.
All right, stop it right there. You get the gist. Of course, Bill Poole, William Poole, that was the head of the New York Federal Reserve. Ben Bernanke, obviously the former Federal Reserve chief, right? Big dramatic moment. They know nothing. They need to open the window. Talking about how the central bank didn't have a clue about what the realities on the ground were. Now, of course, I've been telling you what the real realities are, and I don't care what Donald Trump says. about how he had all his little banker buddies in the Oval Office yesterday trying to tell you, oh, no, the bank's finances are fine. Yeah, we're fine. Just like they did in 2007. And I know I don't need to yell, but I do sometimes, because sometimes you're not listening. You're hearing me, but you're not listening. You need to understand. They created this massive debt bubble, and this time it was in the corporate bond market. I've done my best to try to get you to understand. So now, right, the Dow is down, 2,200 points today. And Jim Cranmer, he was calmer today. But his message was the same. Jason, let's play. This is Jim Cranmer this morning talking about the condition of where you have most of your money, which is in Wall Street. Jason, play the clip.
I want to avoid that chapter that we had early on during the crisis, Jim, where there was a stigma in asking for help and admitting that you needed help.
Right, so we have to get rid of that. Now, fortunately, the rates are so low we can do this. We could be the strongest country on earth if we use the federal government's balance sheet, not necessarily the Federal Reserve, but the actual federal government. Everyone owes the government at all time. Everyone in this country, individuals, corporations, that has to be suspended right now so they have more money. Are these radical actions? You bet they are. Can they be done smoothly? Absolutely. Are we going to sit here and let so many companies go bankrupt because of an illness? I think that is stupid. This is the time for radical action, and the action can be done by the federal government. Once we settle that out and stop worrying about money, we can worry about health simultaneously. Right now, we can't do both. I see a number of companies in the S&P 500 that could easily go bankrupt in the next 4 weeks. Does that make any sense at all? No. We do not want to reformulate any corporation, let alone the large corporations, because they cannot get paid. How do you make an airplane with so many suppliers when the suppliers, this is, of course, the largest exporter we have, when people at the suppliers, of course, get sick? The federal government could tide us over here. I don't want everything closed. I want everything to work smoothly. And the only way to work smoothly is to take advantage of what the rates are, and for the federal government to borrow as much as possible and then give it to us. This can be returned after we get healthy. Do we want to come in here every day and see which CEO is taken down by this illness, how many workers are taken down? No. What we have to do is be able to say, you know what, no matter what, the country will keep running because money is not a necessity at this time.
Have you seen any signs at all from our leaders in Washington and this administration that they believe the problem is as significant as you think it is?
Absolutely not. They know nothing. They know nothing.
Right.
We know more than they do. And that's not acceptable either. I want the federal government to know more than me. All right?
I hear you.
I knew more than they did in 2007, and I know more than they do now. And it is disappointing. Perhaps they should talk to more leaders, and the leaders can be more candid. But this is a situation where if everybody takes down the revolver, David, at the same time, we're not going to be worried about the companies that take down the revolver. Yeah. So we need someone who understands and just says, you know what, it's not panic. It's not moral hazard. There's none of that. We need to make the country work smoothly while we get the kits. And if we get the kits, then we can be like South Korea. I mean, come on, we're a major country. I don't think the problem is people coming in from Luxembourg.
No, it doesn't appear to be. The virus is here. There's no doubt. And the question is whether it's spreading. We had Larry Kudlow on last week.
We get the gist. So let me break it down for you, because he said a few things that you may not understood what he meant early in that piece. Everybody owes the federal government. People shouldn't be worried about that right now. So what he was making reference to was the payroll tax, right? That's 12.4%, 6.2 by the employer, 6.2 by the employee. If you're self-employed, you pay it all. Cranmer is calling for an immediate suspension of that tax. In addition, he's talking about April 15th, wanting the government to suspend taxes on April 15th. People are going to need the money. Corporations are going to need the money. You heard them. S&P 500 companies don't even have 4 weeks. And they will start filing bankruptcy en masse. Of course they will. They're shutting down entire countries. Look at what they're doing here, right? The NBA suspended, right? NCAA, no fans, right? Every college in the country now, just because, you know what, let's say, well, everyone's doing it, I got to do it. Right? He jumped off the bridge. That guy jumped off the bridge. That guy jumped off. He jumped off the bridge. Let everybody jump off the bridge. And the bottom line is, like I've been telling you for weeks, it doesn't matter if it's an overreaction or not. Companies don't have the money. They can't pay their debts. Then he talked about if all these companies pulled, well, first he talked about, obviously made a clear shot at Boeing, right? You heard that in there. If we can't build airplanes, right? He's talking about Boeing's got financial problems. And if Boeing's got a financial problem, all the banks got a financial problem. That's how big Boeing is. And then he talked about all of these companies doing what Boeing did and pulling down their revolvers. So look at a revolver as if you had a home equity line of credit. A lot of people have them. They don't use them. But especially if you're a small business guy, you've probably got one. Because, hey, sometimes business gets a little slow. I'll hit my line of credit to get me through, and then I'll pay it back later type of a thing. Corporations have these with banks. We're not talking, a line of credit for an individual. Maybe you got a $50,000 line of credit, or maybe you got $100,000, right? Banks have billions of dollars in lines of credit. And Cranmer said if these companies start pulling these revolvers, we're not going to worry about the companies. What he was saying, he didn't want to say it out loud. Then you're going to worry about the banks. That was what he meant. All of a sudden now the banks got to give out all this money that they don't have. And a lot of these companies are going to pull down those revolvers and file for bankruptcy anyway. And he's talking, think about this, just the payroll tax. That's $1 trillion. Now, I told you the deficit's going to $2 trillion, $3 trillion, right? Without that, I didn't have no payroll tax included in that. Could you imagine how fast the trust fund is going to be insolvent now if we just suspend the payroll taxes? That's what the payroll tax is for. There's no way out. He said this is the time for the federal government to spend trillions of dollars, and if they don't spend trillions, his message was clear. If they don't spend trillions, everybody's going to get wiped out. And what did he say? They know nothing. Right? Last night, the president gave that speech banning all travel to Europe and saying, I'm authorizing $50 billion for the SBA. $50 billion. What did Cranmer just do today? What are you talking about, $50 billion? Hey, you're not missing just a zero. You may be missing 2 zeros on that. And then this morning, this is how bad the problem was. So let me explain how the Dow works and the mechanisms for shutting down. The futures, the Dow future. So when the Dow closes today, this afternoon, it'll close, and then an hour later or so, the futures markets will open. And actually, I think they open right away. and you can still trade the S&P and the Dow and the NASDAQ in electronic trading. They're only allowed to fall 5%. And then they'll stop futures. You can't do any more selling and electronic trading on the futures market for the paper asset. You know what? That rule doesn't apply to gold, doesn't apply to oil, right? Doesn't apply to real things. Just their fake little Ponzi scheme, right? 5%. When the market's open, if the S&P goes down 7%, they take a timeout for 15 minutes, right? That's when they make the call. Where's Steve Mnuchin? Where's the Treasury Secretary? The poor guy Mnuchin was probably in the can taking a dump this morning. They couldn't find him. So the second time in a week, they got to shut down trading for 15 minutes. They won't shut down trading again until it falls 13%. We'll see how close we are to that today. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily broadcast from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. And we're upholding the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly, a constitutional attorney and articulate voice for traditional values for more than 70 years. And now, from the archives of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, here is Phyllis Schlafly.
Do you know that the most powerful office in the United States is not the president? Indeed, the most powerful man in the world is the U.S. president, but the presidency is not the most powerful office. Another office is more powerful because it chooses whose names will appear on the ballot for elective office and what will be the policies of the political parties that support those candidates. Let's consider how anybody gets elected in the United States. Are you satisfied with how government is spending our taxpayers' money today? If not, you will have to elect some different representatives in Congress and in state legislatures. To change the laws and the spending, you have to change the people who make the laws. But to elect new representatives you like, your candidates must be on the ballot so you can vote for them. To get on the ballot in the general election, such as we will have in November this year, you have to be nominated for an office by a political party. In some states, candidates are nominated in what is called a primary, and in other states, nominations are made at a political party convention. Usually, only a small percentage of voters participate in the primary or convention. So the candidates endorsed by each party's county or township committee are usually the ones who are nominated and thereby win a place on the November ballot. These party officials are usually elected every 2 years at a meeting of the precinct committeemen. So what this boils down to is the precinct committeeman is the most powerful office in the country because the committeemen determine who gets the chance to be elected to office at every level of government. Remember, if your candidate is not on the ballot, he will not be elected. If you care about the future of America, now is the time for you to think about running for the important office of precinct committeeman.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. You've seen the desperation of women's marches, the disgrace of Planned Parenthood, the rise of savvy young conservative women. Radical feminism is heading down a dead-end road. Voice your opinion on what's really important to women at phyllisschlafly.com. That's phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening and join us again for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Jim Cranmer today. They know nothing. And now he's saying the central bank isn't enough. They're going to zero. I mean, it's almost there now. They're doing repo auctions. By the way, last night, they increased the daily repo auction to $175 billion. This morning, they were so scared, they instituted another emergency repo. So every Tuesday and Thursday, as I've educated you, They do the daily, which is now 175 billion, which is so funny because before Monday it was only 100 billion. Now it's 175 billion. Every Tuesday and Thursday they were doing 20 billion. Now it's 45 billion. And then today they created another one. This one allows the banks to borrow money for a whole month. It started today at $50 billion. So you think about today, the central bank adding another $75 billion of liquidity. But they're so worried because the daily, if they had to do this every day without these special ones that let the banks borrow longer, who knows where we're going to be? 300, 400, 500 billion a day. The Fed's balance sheet has risen by over $500 billion, and it's still not enough. Jim Cranmer essentially saying this morning, we need the federal government to spend everything. Everything. To keep these companies from going bankrupt. In other words, hey, it's already too late. The cat's left the cow's out of the barn, right? All those things. It's already happened. Calling for an immediate tax holiday, a suspension of the payroll tax, as well as delaying the April 15th payments. And hey, we'll worry about it later. That's all, right? We'll worry about it later. And if you think, and I know, right, you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, gold's down 60 and silver's down $1 something. Oh, man, no. They have to sell because they need the money. But believe me, the physical gold and silver markets, we have not seen this since the last financial crisis. Earlier in the show, I let you know, U.S. Silver Eagles are out of stock. We cannot take any orders on U.S. Silver Eagles. The U.S. Mint is out. I don't even have word on a day when they could possibly be back in stock. My guess is I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to take some orders, and then hopefully within a month you could have your product. But again, this is how it works. Remember the last time? So they've done this with silver before. They've had these big sell days. The banks go in there. They buy all the physical silver. You can't get any. But guess what? Maybe even better because the price is better. I have pre-65 dimes, quarters, and half dollars. So what they call junk silver. Pre-65 junk silver, the quarters and the half dollars. The quarters and the half dollars at $130 a roll. And you think about, hey, just the other day, Jason was running quarters at $145. But this is what happens when you have mass liquidation because all of your investments just got hammered and silver's down over $1. So we've got junk silver rolls at quarters and half dollars at $130, dimes at $65, at 800-951-0592. So that's 20 half dollars, 40 quarters, right? Those are $10 face value rolls. And then the dimes, it's 50 dimes. But that's a $5 roll, $5 face value roll. So it's half of what the half dollars or the quarters are. So $130 for the quarters and dimes, $65 on the dimes, $130 on the quarters and the half dollars. Put them away. This is nothing more than selling out of need, and at the same time, the people that really got money just went in and just bought the whole physical market today. Gold. Got a great item today. I just don't have that many. I've got 50 these are going to be AU5 libs because there's no ungraded, circulated gold pieces anywhere right now. But I've got AU5 libs. I've got 50 of them at $430, which is it's an incredible savings. Just on a regular plain Jane $5 Liberty, you're saving like $30. So, but you're getting AU quality. These are the older ones, 1866 to 1907. AU5 libs at $430. Here's the problem: I only got 50 of them. That would bring if you got 4 of them, that'd be $17.20, which isn't what that's like $5-10 more than a $20 Liberty today. So just a great value there. 800-951-0592. And as I'm talking, I'm watching this gold and silver coming off the lows. Gold's still down 3%, okay, and actually about 3.4% right now, down $56 at 15, but right around 15.80. Silver is still down $1, but silver at one point was down almost $1.50, down $1, $15.70 right now. 800-951-0592. The Dow is down 9%, 2,120 points down. The S&P is down 8.5%, 233 points down. The Nasdaq's down 8%, 630 points. The global Dow, by the way, down 12%. Crude oil down 6.5%. Crude oil stock trying to stay above $30. It's $30.80 right now. And people smarter than I, we're talking about crude oil. There's only 3 shale companies out there that can even make money at $33. None of them can make money at $30. 800-951-0592. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. I'm going to give you those specials again. And I if you can put some more gold or silver away today, I highly recommend you do so. I've got more news breaking about the U.S. Treasury market coming out of B of A. But before we do, rolls of silver, $half and quarters at $130 a roll. The dimes take half of that. So a roll of 50 silver dimes at $65. I'm in Colorado, so I don't even know where we're at. The AU5 libs, we had 50 of them. I'm guarantee you we don't have 50 of them anymore. But they're at $430. Okay, $430. 800-951-0592. The U.S. Mint is out of Silver Eagles. The Bullion Bank won't accept any orders and has no timetable for when we'll be able to get any more. So the junk bags, I promise you, they will not last very long. As if we didn't need more bad news. Bank of America just published this report in regards to the U.S. Treasury market. Now, Bank of America, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give these guys a lot of credit. They were the ones, and I want to say it was this guy, Mark Cabana, that was originally had sent the letter to the central bank about hey, we're going to have a liquidity problem, and you're going to need to open the Fed window. And, of course, look at what the repo auctions are today. So they came out and said, and I'll just read it to you, the U.S. Treasury market is no longer functioning properly and will likely require a rapid and large near-term policy response from the U.S. Treasury or the Federal Reserve to get back to normal. The world's most liquid market appears to be broken, with an unexpected plunge in Treasury rates. In other words, here's what's happened. Today, the Dow is down 2,200 points. Do you know we're less than 3,000 points away from when Trump took office? It's all gone. They took it all. They're going to take it all. Rates didn't go down. The 30-year bond went the other way. And Bank of America said this has just devastated the Treasury markets. In risk of an environment, it would be expected to see U.S. Treasury yields decline. Yields appear to have been overwhelmed by liquidity concerns. Again, this was Bank of America this morning saying that the world's alleged most liquid market has suffered a dramatic liquidity concerns, and that dramatic action is going to be needed by the U.S. Treasury and or the U.S. Federal Reserve. And I might as well just tell you, it's going to be needed by both. This is not a drill. Whether or not the coronavirus was an overreaction or not, like I said, you got to deal with what the realities are. And here I'm going to simplify it for everybody because it can be really complicated. Okay, this is a Ponzi scheme. It really is, and a Ponzi scheme works well when there's more money coming in than there is going out. The second those reverse and there's more money going out than there is coming in, right, you have disaster. Jim Cranmer this morning, they know nothing. Again, they shouldn't know less than I do, but they know nothing. Maybe they need to call all these guys that were up at the White House over the last few days and get them to tell the president the truth. Major U.S. companies are going to go bankrupt in the next 4 weeks if something isn't done. And then Bank of America comes out and says the Treasury markets are broken. The Treasury markets are broken. There's a liquidity concern in the Treasury market. In other words, wait a minute. We heard what Cranmer just said. He wants the U.S. government to increase the debt trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Hey, we're not going to take these low rates. We don't care what they do. And it's one of those things. I hope it's temporary. Because I will tell you this. If they don't do something to fix this, and Treasury yields keep rising regardless of what the central bank does, regardless of what Wall Street does, it is going to cause dramatic financial consequences that would make the financial crisis look like a walk in the park. This is the whole world we're talking about now. And these are these events, and I sit there and I think about coronavirus and everybody stay in their homes and nobody flies anywhere, no one goes there. I mean, it's kind of like quasi-martial law, and they're whacking all of our wealth, and now all of a sudden, oh my Lord, the Treasury market's broken, this market's broken, that market's broken, everything is broken. Crank up the printing presses, and then we'll come up with the plan to save everybody. That's the part I'm worried about. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment on a Thursday. If you missed this show, get the podcast. Listen to the podcast. Listen to what Jim Cranmer had to say. Listen to what Bank of America just said about the Treasury markets are broken. J.P. Morgan Chase, chief U.S. economist, the Fed is going to cut rates to zero in the coming days, even ahead of their meeting Tuesday and Wednesday. In other words, J.P. Morgan just pretty much told the Fed, dude, you can't wait till Wednesday. We can't wait that long. It's Thursday. I mean, Wednesday, that's like 6 days from now. We can't wait 6 days for you to go to zero. You need to do it right now. Which, all bets are off at that point. I would imagine Fed goes to zero. You could see, you could see anything. You could see a 3,000-point up day. You could see gold up 100. You could see silver up $2 or $3. I mean, it'd be unprecedented. I don't know that I've seen a full point cut in an emergency meeting. It's never been done. One time we got a 70, think about the financial crisis. The biggest emergency cut ever was a 75 basis point cut. Most of them are 50 like we saw last week. Now J.P. Morgan saying that they can't wait. They need to act. If Wall Street doesn't believe that they're going to get action, things will get a lot worse. We could be back at 18,000 tomorrow. I'm thinking they're gonna. My gut hunch is somebody's gonna do something. I think. I mean, how can you sit there and have the world's? Let's face it, the two biggest banks were J.P. Morgan Chase and B of A. Right? They just came out and said. One came out and said, "Hey, listen, the Treasury market's broken." J.P. Morgan Chase says, "Hey, we can't wait till Wednesday, you dummies. Get on. What are you doing? Jay Powell, where are you? We're dying here." Jim Cranmer. Companies are going to go bankrupt in a matter of weeks. You need to do something. And he wasn't talking about the Federal Reserve. He was talking about the federal government. Right? All these yahoos, they're getting ready to go on spring break. We'll deal with it later. No, you guys need to get it done. Do you think we want to see this? Right? Already, all of us out there that are trying to just get by, 30% of your wealth just got whacked. And no response. $50 billion for small business. What are they thinking? As Jim Cranmer said, they know nothing. I know more than them. Once again, I know more than them. So I'm hopeful that there is going to be major bailouts coming. It sounds weird to say. Obviously, I think it'll be very good for gold and silver, but it'll be good for the Dow as well. Listen, these companies aren't solvent. I wish they were, but they weren't. And why is it this way? Because they made rates zero for 10 years and allowed all these companies to borrow all this money to just stay in business. All these companies pull their revolvers. It's the banks that are going to be insolvent. And Cranmer knows it, and now you know it. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm worried. I don't even know what tomorrow's going to be. Are you kidding me? Hey, but we'll be here to report it. Everybody take care. God bless.